Hi and welcome to Holy FaceTime. So today I want to talk about Bella Dodd, who's a very interesting character. When I was in adoration, I was thinking about what Jesus said about communism. He said that it was the communists that dragged him from the tabernacles, profaned and despoiled his sanctuaries, and dared to raise their hands against his anointed priests. So they're an arch enemy of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. And then what is interesting is that Jesus actually mentions them by name, and I've never heard of him mention communism in any other revelation. So after reading Communism and Conscience of the West, I went onto YouTube and I started looking up videos, and I came across a video about Bella Dodd. And I was fascinated by her story because she was a militant atheist. She was initially born Catholic. She was an Italian Catholic, born in Italy, then moved to America. I think when she was in her teenage years, if I recall. She went through university, and that's where she lost her faith, like a lot of people, especially nowadays, because they've been indoctrinated with Marxism in the schools and in the colleges and universities. So that's what happened to Bella Dodd. She became a militant atheist and then joined the Communist Party and was liaising with agents in Stalinist Russia. That's where she received her orders. So she did her very best to try and destroy the Catholic Church by getting communist agents to infiltrate the Catholic Church. She stated that she got 1,100 communist agents successfully into seminaries. I don't know how many of them eventually finished and became ordained priests, but at a later date it was revealed that there was at least 4 cardinals. These guys ended up climbing up the ladder, up the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, and some of them getting into very high positions. So to cut a long story short, I was sitting in adoration and I said to Jesus, I says, if communism's your arch enemy, then help me to understand it. That's when I felt inspired to start reading Communism and the Conscience of the West. So after that, and hearing about Bella Dodd, I got hold of The Devil and Bella Dodd, which is a fantastic book which goes into depth about her life story and her conversion through the great venerable Fulton Sheen. What happened was she got into a stage of despair and she started feeling guilty and had a lot of shame about what she was doing. So someone said to her, would you like to see a priest? And apparently she enthusiastically jumped at the chance, even though she was a self-proclaimed militant atheist and communist. So this person organised her to go and see Venerable Fulton Sheen, and when she seen him, apparently she burst into tears, and Venerable Fulton Sheen put his hand on her shoulder and told her not to worry, and gave her a set of rosary beads, and then led her into the chapel where they both knelt and prayed in front of a statue of our Blessed Virgin Mary. So Bella Dodd asked Fulton Sheen if she should name all these communist agents that became priests, bishops and cardinals. Venerable Fulton Sheen said no. He said that your job, Bella, is to expose communism for what it is. And what's interesting is that when Venerable Fulton Sheen went to see the Pope said to Fulton Sheen also not to expose these names. So that is also for a good reason above my head. I know it was said that it would cause scandal if the names were released. So I used to think, oh, that was a bad move, but the more I think about it, the more unsure I am about that. I mean, a Pope's going to know a lot better than me, and Fulton Sheen was a very obedient servant of God and very subservient to the Pope, so he followed his orders. And Bella Dodd faithfully followed Fulton Sheen's orders, and she went on a mission to expose communism, and she suffered a lot because of it. When she initially seen Fulton Sheen, she said to Fulton Sheen that she felt so guilty and shameful that she wanted to be put in the strictest order, the most penitential order, and lead a life of penance. And that's when Fulton Sheen says, no, your job is to expose communism. So there's a lot of great talks that she gave exposing communism for what it is, and she explained how they attacked almost every facet of society. They attacked the schools by getting lots of Marxist teachers into schools, and at least 1,100 Marxist communist agents into seminaries. So I felt inspired last night. This might sound a bit strange, but I was sitting at home and I was thinking about Bella Dodd, and I thought, I'm going to go to adoration and pray for her, because I don't know where she is. Is she in heaven? Is she in purgatory? Is she in hell? Unlikely hell, because she sounded like a truly repentant sinner. She regretted everything she did, all her attacks on the Catholic Church, and she was looking to lead a life of reparation. So that kind of touched me. So I went to adoration and I prayed for her. I prayed the rosary for her. But before I went into adoration, let me tell you this. I decided to stop and buy a bunch of flowers for the Blessed Virgin Mary to place beside her statue. And I took these flowers in and I placed them beside the statue, and I said to the Blessed Virgin Mary, these are not from me, these are from Bella Dodd. But just before I went into the church, I actually met the parish priest who was just getting out his car. So I went up to Father and I says, Father, can you do me a favour? And I handed him some money and I says, can you please say a mass for Bella Dodd? The name obviously rung a bell, and he says, is she still alive? And I says, no, she died in 1969, but she was a great warrior against communism. So he said that he would get a mass said for her. So that was this morning. So this is what blows my mind. So keep in mind that I bought flowers for the Blessed Virgin Mary for Bella Dodd. I've asked the priest to say a mass for Bella Dodd, and I've prayed the rosary for Bella Dodd. And I've asked Jesus, I says, if she's in heaven, increase her glory. If she's in purgatory, release her soul. And what I did was, I stayed in adoration for a couple of hours, praying for her. And then I came home and I phoned my mother and I told her what I'd done. I says that I just felt this inspiration to pray for Bella Dodd. And I know it sounds kind of strange. Even my dear wife thought, why are you praying for a woman that you never met, that died before you were even born? And I said to my wife, well, Father Chris Alar says Jesus is God's outside of time, so we can pray for people that are already dead. We can pray for their death, they have a good death. We can pray for the conversion. So that's what I felt inspired to do, was to pray for Bella Dodd, pray for her soul. So I did all that. As I said, I came home, spoke to my mother, and she knew all about Bella Dodd. She says, oh yeah, Bella Dodd, she was a communist agent and she had a revert back to the Catholic faith through Venerable Fulton Sheen. So she knew the whole story. And she said to me, she says, that's a lovely thing to do, to actually be praying for this woman. So after I spoke to my mother, I thought, I wonder when she actually died, what date she died. So today's 28th, right, it's the 28th of April. So I looked online and I tried to find out the date that she died. And keep in mind, I've asked the priest to say a mass, and it's more likely the mass will be said tomorrow, which is the 29th of April. So guess when Bella Dodd died? Yep, the 29th of April 1969. That just completely blew my mind. I thought, what? Is that another God incidence? And I thought, well, maybe God was inspiring me to pray for her. And I could have prayed for her any other day of the year. Why did it have to be within hours of her anniversary of her death? Which, if she is in heaven, is actually her birthday. So I thought I'd share that with you. And if you ever feel inspired to pray for somebody, I know what I do, I run with it. If I feel this inspiration to pray for somebody, I believe that God's trying to encourage me to do that, and I will do it. So I prayed for some people. It might surprise you. I've actually got a mass said for the Elephant Man. I got a mass said for Marilyn Monroe. I've done a mass said for a few of these celebrities. And another one was last year. I was thinking about Russell Brand, and I could not stand Russell Brand. I couldn't watch him for a minute. And I remember thinking, I'm very judgmental of this guy, and I really dislike him, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pray for him. So I started praying the rosary for Russell Brand, and only today I seen a video on YouTube. Apparently he's getting baptised Catholic, well, today, Sunday, and he's holding up a set of rosary beads advising everybody to start praying the rosary. So that also blew my mind. But back to Bella Dodd. In a matter of a couple of hours, it's going to be the anniversary of her death, and I would just like to ask everybody to say a prayer for Bella Dodd, because she suffered a lot when she turned against communism. She lost all her friends, she was totally ostracised, she had the FBI and the KGB following her every single day. She lived in fear of being assassinated. So she suffered a lot, and I think we should keep in mind that she's heroic. She was actually heroic, and it amazes me if someone's led a good life and full of virtue and become a saint, and that's great. But what amazes me is these people who lead a bad life and still manage to break free of all those chains and make it to sainthood. I'm not saying Bella Dodd's a saint, we'll wait in the church for that one, but I've just got a feeling that she is. I got a feeling she's in heaven, or at least purgatory. And I feel quite happy that I've actually bought flowers for Mary on her behalf, that I've prayed the rosary for her soul, and I've got the holy sacrifice of the mass said for her. If you're interested, the Devil and Bella Dodd is actually a fantastic book, full of insights, and it'll probably choke you up at times. I really like this woman, even though she was like the arch enemy of the Catholic Church. What she did exposing communism was truly amazing, and at great personal expense. So keep in mind, Monday the 29th of April, say a prayer for Bella Dodd, please. God bless.